Let's get to Phil LeBeau. He joins us with a special guest. Hey, Phil.
Hey, Joe, let's bring in Jim Farley, CEO of the Ford Motor Company, joining us from the company's headquarters in Dearborn, Michigan. Jim, thanks for being here. I'm curious, Q1, you beat on the top and the bottom line, but you had a big drop in net profits. But it's the guidance that everybody's focused on. You are expecting an impact of $1.5 billion because of tariffs this year. You've suspended your guidance. Do you expect these tariffs to be in place permanently?
We do, at least for the next 3 years. So we think it's, a significant issue for the company. The good news is we build 80% of our vehicles in the U.S., so we're the least affected and the most able to absorb them. But they are significant for our company, and we're doing everything we can to mitigate them. There's a lot of things that are still unclear, and that's why we suspended guidance.
So, Jim, you are in regular contact with the Trump administration, as is Bill Ford. You probably have had several conversations with the president. Has he ever said to you, move back some of these plants from Mexico? Has he explicitly said, I want to see these plants not in Mexico, but in the U.S.?
Well, absolutely. That is the administration's goals. I mean, we produce the most of any brand in the U.S. We produced last year 300,000 more vehicles in the U.S., and we're almost a net exporter, which is very unusual in our industry. But, I mean, the president wants to build more manufacturing jobs. Look, Phil, if every company was like Ford, they had the same footprint we did, that would be 15 more assembly plants in the U.S. and 4 million more vehicles produced in the United States, and that's what the president wants.
Well, let's talk about Mexico, and then we'll talk about foreign auto production in the U.S. With Mexico, you build the Maverick down there, an incredibly popular and successful small pickup truck. Are you thinking about moving Maverick production back to the U.S.?
Look, anything's on the table. We're building 2 brand new plants as we speak in the U.S., one in Ohio and one in Tennessee. So we're always building more capacity in the U.S. as we grow. The Maverick is our fastest turning vehicle so far, and we're going to look at everything, as you would expect as a shareholder.
At what point do you make decisions?
Well, when the financial numbers look compelling and we believe the policy is, permanent. We make these decisions on a 20-year basis, and so we'll have to make that judgment call. But the other thing we have to balance here is really important is affordability. We can move everything in the U.S., but if every Ford is $50,000, we're not going to win as a company. So that's what we're balancing. We are growing with our affordable vehicles like Maverick and Bronco Sport, and that's a balancing act that every OEM will have to do, even the most American company.
Hey, Jim, is it possible for you to make every part that goes into a Ford in the United States? And I don't know, where do the seats come from? Are those now USMCA compliant? I mean, are you excused when you talk to the Trump administration? You say, hey, look, we want to keep prices where we can. We want to sell Fords in this country. But if we get a few things that we have to bring in from other countries, do they listen to you and say, we feel you, and give you some exemptions on things like that? Or do they just say, look, make it here or else?
This is a very important question. We find the Trump administration, very reasonable in this regard. They just did an executive order last week giving us about 15% exemption for parts, like you just mentioned, that are really difficult to source here in the U.S. Look, all of our major components are built in the U.S. or USMCA compliant. Seats, transmissions, engine, axles, braking systems, steering systems. But there's wiring looms, bolts, fasteners, and other, we have almost $5,000 of semiconductors that go into the average Ford car. And, that's hard to source, industrial grade semiconductors in the U.S. So, there's always a balance here. But you brought up the most important point, and this is what we've been saying to the administration. They've been listening. Look, there's 15 or 20% of the components of our vehicle that either is very hard to source in the U.S., like semiconductors at this point in time, or we have to keep affordability, like the Maverick, around $30,000. If we build everything in the U.S., American consumers won't have those affordable new vehicles like Ford. is growing. So that's the balancing act here. We're working through this with the administration. The executive order last week helped a lot.
Hey, Jim, it's Becky. We've been speaking with some local auto sales dealerships, and they've talked about how prices seem to go up pretty quickly on things. I just wonder, how quickly have your prices gone up? When will we see that? What will it mean for the consumer in the end? I don't know how much control you have over that, the dealerships and everybody beyond.
Well, Becky, we have seen a real surge in sales for the last 60 days.
Yeah,
our share has gone up. We've been running employee pricing from America for America. It's a great campaign. It's very well received. So we've had a real sales surge here, I think, for the industry, but especially at Ford with our employee pricing. We're committed to doing that through July 4th. We're going to watch the competitors. Look, every competitor who imports into the U.S., and about half the vehicles that consumers buy in the U.S. are imported, they have a big decision to make. They now have $5,000 or more of tariffs. That will really hit in the second quarter, like this summer, and all of them are going to have to decide on pricing. We're going to look at that situation and make the best choice for our shareholders and our customers and, of course, the employees of the company. It's too early to tell, I think, at this point what's going to happen. But, pretty easy to see with 25% tariffs on half the imported, half the volume which is imported, we're going to see prices go up. And I think that's probably an opportunity for Ford.